This is Realtor Pamela Lewis, team lead for Team McKinney and broker for Realty Executives Peninsula. Today's video, we're going to discuss the pros and cons of living in Norfolk, Virginia. Notice the accent, Norfolk, Virginia. All right, up next. If this is your first time viewing my channel, thank you so much for checking me out. Okay, so Norfolk, Virginia. There is roughly 240 something odd people that live there. It's about 242, 245, 242,000 or 245,000 people that live in Norfolk, Virginia. So these are the top 5 pros of living in Norfolk, Virginia. Number 1, pro for living in Norfolk. Norfolk is eclectic. Notice the outfit. I love my eclectic side. For those who know me, I have different sides from... Anyway, let's get back into the thing. So yeah, that's one of the cool features that I love about it is like the shopping, the housing is eclectic, the people there are eclectic. To be able to be in that city and kind of witness what they have going on. I mean, you can be in different parts of Norfolk and just have different experiences overall for everything, whether it's people, shopping. Yeah, so I love it, especially for the restaurants. There's a lot of eclectic restaurants, and especially if you're vegan, like myself, if I'm going to get vegan food, most likely it's in Norfolk because there's just so much options for people who eat vegan food. So, and it's really tasty. So that's it. Eclectic is number 1. Also, things to do is they have the stadium, the baseball stadium. We have a minor league team. I mentioned that earlier in one of my other videos of living in the Hampton Roads. Is that's where the home of the minor league, the Tides. Stadiums there. And the cool feature of being at the Tide Stadium is you're coming from my town where I'm living in right now. It's Portsmouth. You actually can ride the boat. There's a boat that will actually take you from one port to the next port, and it takes you right to the baseball field. So that's really a cool feature. Number 2 pro of living in Norfolk. Things to do. Norfolk has it going on with so many things to do. So nightlife, if you remember in my other video I had about Chesapeake, where it's like if you want nightlife, you're not going to find it. Well, the city of Norfolk, that is the place to hang out. And that's been like that since I have been, early young adult. That's like the place to go, like Granby Street. They have the Waterside District now, where there's some things to do as far as hanging out, like bars, and 21st Street's a good area for more restaurant vibe. Holly Avenue has some bars. But yeah, nightlife is definitely good. Other things to do, there is like, for the arts, you have the Opera House, you have quite a few museums, you have, well, if you're vegan, you're probably not going to like this, but there's a zoo in Norfolk. I know, I have conflicting views on that. But anyway, there is the zoo in Norfolk. The parks, there's so many different types of parks that's there and on Norfolk. So yeah, and then the shopping, as far as things to do. So the outlet mall is close by on the borderline. So Norfolk basically has the parking. Virginia Beach essentially has the outlets. But so you can park in Norfolk and just walk like a couple steps to the outlet mall. When you get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. And it's pretty funny. So yeah, shopping, you have MacArthur Center, one of the big box, Nordstrom I talked about earlier, my Hampton Roads, like pros and cons, how we used to have Nordstrom, it's gone, but there's other things there. Dillard's there, there's other stores inside of MacArthur that are pretty good. Military Circle, not as much as it used to be when I was younger. That's like the place we would all go for like the stylish clothes. A lot of those places have left and went over to across the street where there's more strip mall, but you still can find some cool things inside of Military Circle, and they have the movie theater there, and there's some businesses, big box businesses that moved in. So yeah, and then they have spas, so there's so many different spas and lash places and threading, and anything you could think of, city of Norfolk pretty much has it. Yoga places, yoga studios. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things that are happening in Norfolk with things to do. Number 3 pro for living in Norfolk, travel. So do you love to travel? Do you wish that you could get out and travel right now? Well, the city of Norfolk, if you were looking to fly out, you have 2 areas you could fly out of. One is Norfolk and one is Newport News, unless you fly private jets, then you would leave out the city of Norfolk. But most of us fly out of commercial flights, so we would fly out of the city of Norfolk. So that's a cool feature. And I think I talked about this in another video too. The cool feature of that being the airport, kind of in our small town vibe, is it's not really hard to navigate around the airport. So also too, we have a port. There's a port right in Norfolk near a lot of things that are happening in our downtown Norfolk area. There's a port for the cruise ships. So if you were looking to have, if you were living here and you wanted to take a cruise out, you actually can just cruise from where you're living versus having to go down to like Florida or over to Texas to cruise out. So that's actually a really cool feature. Number 4, we are the home to the largest military base. So that's an awesome feature because it does so much for all of our cities as far as having a lot of our men and women who protect our country living right here. So we honor you guys. Thank you so much. But that helps out with so much with our housing stock, with our shopping. One of the things it does help out with is one of our cons, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so that is really a cool feature that we have in the city of Norfolk. The 5th pro of living in Norfolk. If you have been following my videos, you might already know what the answer is going to be. Beach access. There's access to the bay, Chesapeake Bay. Essentially, they call it the beach area in Norfolk. It's out in the Ocean View area. So yeah, I like that feature. Norfolk is pretty much surrounded by water, but to have that feature, to have a designated area for the beach is a really cool feature. And so when you come to Norfolk, hopefully you're able to check that out. Okay, so let's get into the cons. 5 cons of living in Norfolk, Virginia. Number 1, I just left off with number 5 of a pro is the beach area because it's surrounded by water. Norfolk is. So the number 1 con of living in Norfolk, because you're surrounded by water, is flooding. Flooding does happen in a lot of the low-lying areas in Norfolk. Flooding can be pretty bad. So if you do live here or you end up living here, you'll know when there's high tide. You'll be looking at the high tide times because that will make some of the low-lying areas flood. But from what I have seen, correct me if I'm wrong, put a comment down there, it could be every few streets. It won't be like a whole entire area that floods. So from my understanding from people who live down in Norfolk, they kind of know what streets to drive on when there is a high tide. It's just the rest of us who come into the city when it's flooded, we don't know which streets. So we try to follow locals when you are in the area when it's flooding. Number 2, the 2nd pro of living in Norfolk, Virginia. If you listen to my video for the city of Portsmouth where I'm living, it's one of the same cons. It's the toll. So to come from the city of Portsmouth to Norfolk, because they butt right up to each other, you pay a toll leaving out of Portsmouth to go into Norfolk. Well, when you leave out of Norfolk to go back into Portsmouth, you also do a toll. I don't like that. That is definitely a con, I think, for everybody who lives on either side of the tunnels. The 3rd con, number 3. So you heard me talk about we have the world's largest military base, and there is one con that does affect us. So we love our men and women who serve our country. Again, thank you so much. But you guys, there's a lot of people that work on that base, so that causes a lot of traffic. Now, they're not the only ones that cause traffic. If you remember, I talked about we do have a port here in Portsmouth, so we have a lot of trucks that come in and out to go to the port. But adding on the people from the military base, since it is the largest military base, there's so many people going in and out. And so yeah, that causes a lot of traffic. But if you're a native like myself, you know the times to kind of not go past Norfolk Naval Base. So essentially, that time right at 4 o'clock, if you're from here, you know what I'm talking about. You do not go past the Norfolk Naval Base. You could take the street, or you take downtown area to get to the other side of Norfolk. And you know it, like between 6 and like 8 o'clock in the morning, you're not taking the highway that goes past Norfolk Naval Base. You're just not, because it's too much traffic. And if you are, you most likely have added time, because you know it's going to take you extra time to get wherever you need to get to. Especially if you're trying to travel from Richmond, like Virginia Beach up to Richmond, you know you got to add in extra time because of that traffic, or you just leave a lot earlier to eliminate that traffic. All right, the fourth con, number 4, con of living in Norfolk. You can debate me on this too, but I think one of the cons of living in Norfolk is sometimes the parking. Depending on what part of Norfolk you're in. So if you're in like the downtown area, yeah, I know you got the decks, but sometimes I want to be cheap and I don't want to pay money to park. I just don't. Even though our city, so when I lived up in New Jersey, it was like $20 every parking deck. Here it's like $4 or $5. So yeah, I'm cheap sometimes. So our parking decks are usually like $2, $4, $5. I don't think I've ever seen them 20. Maybe I've seen them 10 for like a concert. And but there's some streets in Norfolk, like it's very tight. So if you're going to like a party or a friend's house, or for me, like showing houses, you may not always be able to park right in the driveway or park right in front of the house, because the streets can be narrow in some of the areas in Norfolk. So that would be my number 4, would be parking. All right, number 5, con of living in Norfolk. If you remember my number 5, pro for living in Norfolk is that there's access to the beach, or just the bay area, where they call it their beach area, Ocean View. So the number 5 con would be there's no beach strip. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you go into a beach town, it's kind of like those little mom and pop shops where you can get your swimsuits, your souvenirs, your little restaurants. Now, don't get me wrong. Ocean View does have some long-standing restaurants, and there's a pier for, like, fishing and stuff like that. But it's not like when you go down to Virginia Beach oceanfront. And it's probably by design like this, but you can't just, like, get in your car and, like, just drive down the strip to see, like, the ice cream shops or the little mom and pop swimsuit shops. So that would be my number 5 is, yeah, you can go to the beach. You can kind of park in the parking lot, walk to the beach, but there's no, like, stop and pick up some food or a pancake house here and there. So maybe that's just the Virginia Beach girl in me. Okay, guys, that was the 5 pros and cons of living in Norfolk, Virginia. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click on the subscribe button. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you.